For many of us, the conversations at home were about paying rent, buying food, settling school fees, or making the salary stretch till month end. Investing hardly came up. And because we never saw the average family investing, we subconsciously concluded that investing was only for wealthy people. Somewhere along the line, we started believing that investing is the reward for becoming rich. But that's backwards. Investing isn't what rich people do because they're rich. It's one of the reasons many people became rich in the first place. What's good, Money Nation? Welcome to another episode of the Hot Money Talks podcast. I am the Money Mechanic, your host, and I'm super honored to be here with you today. This is a safe space for all things money, where we have honest, open, and transparent conversations about our money, one episode at a time. If you're just joining us for the first time, take a seat, get comfortable, and feel at home. In this nation, we strongly believe that financial freedom is possible with the right set of knowledge, the right amount of time, and the right circle of people. And this is why we are very intentional about learning about our finances. Now, before we begin today's discussion, I want to encourage you to subscribe and follow the show so you don't miss an episode. We're here every week with fresh content that will bless and inspire you as you journey to financial freedom. Leave me a review, tell me what you love, and how I can make the show better for you. Generosity is a fruit of the spirit and also a financial principle, so please share this episode with someone you love. The stock market is so complicated. Many of us feel this way. This is why I have put together a simplified guide to help you start your journey as an investor in the Nigerian stock market. I recently just launched my brand new book titled How to Buy Your First Stock, a Beginner's Guide to Investing in the Nigerian Stock Market. If you've ever wanted to start investing in stocks but didn't know where or how to begin, this book is just what you need. I have helped hundreds of people start their investing journey over the years, and this book just captures the practical lessons I have taught to make investing simple and actionable for beginners. It is an ebook, and so you can grab your copy now for just 5,000 naira by visiting www.seller.com/BYFS ebook or by just clicking on the link in the show notes. Now, without further ado, let's get right into our episode for today. Today, we are going to be talking about 2 lies you believe about investing. Have you ever noticed that the biggest barriers that we actually face to investing are really money related, right? Yes, I know there's the money part. Don't get me wrong, but the biggest barriers are actually not related to money. They're actually rooted in our beliefs, right? They are rooted in the stories that we've told ourselves for so long that they've become our truth. So in today's episode, I want to challenge 2 of the biggest lies that many young people believe about investing. Now, these lies, they sound very reasonable, or they sound even responsible to some extent. But they have actually kept thousands of young people from investing, from building wealth. Now, straight to it. The first lie is, I am too young. The second lie says, there's still time. Now, let's talk about the first lie. I am too young. Now, if I were in a room full of young people, and I asked the question, who should be investing? Many people would start to picture someone who's in their 40s or their 50s. Maybe they would start thinking of someone who's wearing a suit, someone who's earning a huge salary, or someone who's already running a successful business. Very few people would actually think about maybe a 22-year-old fresh out of university graduate, or a 25-year-old 9-to-5er who is working on their first job. And why is that? Is because many of us we grew up believing that investing is something that only rich people do. Now, I want you to think about it. Really, how many investment conversations did you hear growing up? For many of us, the conversations that we were hearing at home were about paying rent, buying food, settling school fees, trying to make salary stretch until month end. Investing was hardly a topic of conversation in many households. And because we never saw the average family investing, we subconsciously concluded that investing was only for rich people. And somewhere along the line, we started to believe, right, that investing is the reward for becoming rich. But that mindset is actually a very backwards mindset, because investing isn't what rich people do because they are rich. It is actually one of the core reasons that many of these rich people became rich in the first place. Now, another reason that many young people think that they're too young is because they believe they don't earn enough. So they tell themselves, I'll start investing when my salary increases. I'll start investing when I have extra money. When they dash me money that I wasn't expecting. Or I'll start investing when I have millions. But the truth, right, is that when you invest for the first time, your first investment isn't really about, I'm going to blow overnight, or this money is just going to grow and this is my retirement plan. No. Your first investment is mainly about growing your mindset. Yeah, it's mainly focused on building the habit itself consistently by buying assets instead of just being a consumer, which is where many of us find ourselves, right? Many of us find ourselves in the consumer, environment of things. So we are raised to be consumers. We're not raised to be investors. We're not raised to be, producers. We're not raised to be preservers. We just consume. But like I said, right, your first investment is really about building the habit. And you know why? Because habits that are formed early, right, they often become lifelong habits. So if you don't learn how to invest when you're earning 100,000 naira or even 50,000 naira, right, chances are that you won't magically become an investor when you start earning 1 million naira. Work like that, call it work, right? So your income may actually experience changes, right? But that your income experiences changes doesn't mean that your habits are going to experience changes as well. But there's a beautiful thing or a beautiful side to being young. Our youth is actually our biggest investment advantage, and that's what I want you to carry with you today. Because as a young person, right, you have something that older investors wish that they could buy back, and that is time. You have years for your money to compound. You have room to make mistakes, to fail forward, right? To learn lessons, to recover, and still build wealth. You have fewer responsibilities than you may have 10 or 20 years from now. So no, contrary to what you think, you are actually not too young to start investing. You are actually right where you should be. You're actually in the best season of your life to actually start investing. Let that sink in. Now let's talk about the second lie. There's still time. Now this one is dangerous because you know why? It doesn't even sound like an excuse. It sounds very logical, right? I mean, you're in your 20s or maybe your early 30s and retirement feels so far away. Like it's almost like it's an imaginary thing. Like you can't even, it's just like, is in that distant future, right? So you're just like, you know what, you only live once, YOLO, like living la vida loca, carpe diem, seize the day, and all of that. So you tell yourself consistently that I'll focus on investing later, I still have time. But here's something that I've learned as someone who has been investing for a couple of years. You see that thing we call later, right? It has a very, very funny way of becoming never. Because life moves like it moves almost as the speed of light, right? Today you're 20 and the next thing you're celebrating your 25th birthday, and before you know it, you're like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, I'm now a 30 plus woman. And before you know it, you're doing the whole life begins at 40. It's crazy, right? Yes. Life moves much faster than we think, right? You're graduating today, next thing you're planning a wedding, then children come, family responsibilities increase, you're paying more bills than you were paying when you were a single person. And then your parents are now older and they're looking up to you for support, for their livelihood. And boom, you're asking yourself, where did all of these years go? So the biggest misunderstanding that we young people have is thinking that investing is mainly about money. It's not. Remember at the beginning I said it's not about money. It's not just about money. Investing is mainly about time. And money needs time to grow. I will always say this. I would always say you need to sow time. You need to sow time if your investments must work for you. If you're not ready to sow time, you will not enjoy the dividends of investing. So I want you to imagine planting 2 mango trees. Okay? You plant one today, then you plant the second one maybe 10 years later. You water them the same way, you fertilize them the same way. Which one do you think would give you fruit first? Obviously, the one that you planted earlier. Now, money works exactly the same way. The earlier you plant, the more time it has to grow. That's just it. Like, there's no magic to it. The magic is if you plant early, you give it more time to grow. It's that simple. If you plant late, you're shortening its lifespan. That's just it. So let's put some real numbers now behind this. Now imagine there are 2 friends who decide that they're going to retire at the age of 60. And both of them invest exactly 100,000 naira every month. Both of them are also earning the same, average annual return of 12%. The only difference, however, in this story is that the first friend starts to invest at age 25. But the second friend says, you know what? I'm still young, still 25. I'll start in 10 years. I'll start when I'm 35, right? Now, you may just see it as a 10-year difference, but here's what happens. By the same age, 60, right? The person who started to invest at age 25 would have built a portfolio that would be worth roughly around maybe 650 million. Right, and that is compound interest, using the average annual return of 12% and all of that. Then the person who waited until they were 35 will end up with maybe just around 190 million. And remember, right, this is just them sticking to 100,000 naira every month. They don't add contributions. They don't move it to a different amount. They just stick to 100,000 naira. Now I want you to let that sink in for a moment. Now, waiting 10 years, right? That's the second friend waiting 10 years. Didn't just cost them 10 years of investing, right? It cost them almost 460, if I'm not mistaken, 460 million in potential wealth that they could have made. I want you to let that sink in. And here's the crazy part, right? The friend who started to invest earlier didn't invest hundreds of millions more. Both of them contributed only about, or rather, the first friend contributed maybe only about 12 million naira more in their lifetime. But the rest, right, of that huge amount of money that you're looking at came from one thing. It came from time. So time just quietly multiplied their money while the other person was doing what? Was waiting for the right time to begin. Now, let me shock you again. If the first friend, right, invests only until age 35 and then never invests another naira. So let me break this down. So they started with their 100,000 naira a month at age 25. And they were doing that consistently for 10 years up until age 35. And then they stop, right? they just stop and then they don't invest again. They just leave whatever they have gathered so far and just leave it there to be compounding. And the second friend waits until they're 35 and then invest consistently until they're 60. This is what will happen. The first investor, right, who invests consistently from age 25 to age 35 would have invested a total of 12 million naira and then they stop. And then they just allow their money to compound for another 25 years. By age 60, they would have roughly around 360 million. Remember, these figures are subject to inflation and all of that, but we're just looking at it at an average of 12% a year. Then for the second friend, if they start investing at age 35 and they're doing it every year until they're age 60, they would have invested a total of 30 million naira, right? But at age 60, would just have roughly around 190 million. So in other words, then, the person who invested for only 10 years, but they started early, they end up with almost twice as much money as the friend who invested continuously for 25 years but started 10 years later. Now, at this point, I would like to give a disclaimer, right? That these figures are just based on a hypothetical example, right? With an assumption that the 12% annual return was consistent. But we must understand that, of course, real life investments returns will vary. But the principle is what we want to take home today. The earlier you start, the more powerful compounding interest becomes for you. So you see, when young people say there's still time, I agree. I don't even disagree. There is still time. And that is exactly why you should start now, because time is your greatest advantage. So don't waste the very thing that makes investing easier for you. You see, your 20s and your 30s, right? They're not just the years where you earn money alone. They should be your learning years. They should be your investing years. They should be the years where you fail forward, right? Where you learn about different investments and how they work, where you understand your risk tolerance, how much risk you can take, where you build discipline, where you develop your consistency. Because it is actually much cheaper to make a 20,000 naira investment mistake when you are 24 than to make a 20 million naira mistake when you are age 54. So these two lies I've talked about today, you know, the interesting thing about them, they actually even contradict each other now that I think about it. Because the first one says you're too young. The second one says you have plenty of time. So one lie is telling you it's too early. The other one is telling you that, you know, this whole investing thing, it can wait. But you see, both of these lies, they lead to the exact same outcome. Whether I believe the first or the second, in the end, you're not going to invest if you keep believing in them. And every year that you delay is one less year for your money to work for you. So if you're going to take anything from everything that has been said today, this is what I want you to take. You're not too young to invest. And there isn't as much time as you think. Yep, you think you have time. It's not like that. Your future wealth is not built by one big financial decision. That's 10 million naira that you just dump into an investment. It's actually built by many small decisions that you make consistently over time. So don't wait until you earn more. Don't wait until you have or know everything. Don't wait until the situation is perfect. Start with what you have. Start where you are. Because like I said earlier, investing is not some reward for becoming wealthy. It's actually a core way or a core strategy through which ordinary people like you and I become wealthy. Today has been a heavy episode, and I hope that it struck you as much as it has struck me. Well, if you want to know more about how you can start investing as a young person, right, don't miss the next episode of this podcast. All right? Remember that your money should never just work for today. It should work for your future too. So that's it for today's episode, guys. I hope you got value. And if you did, I want you to be a blessing to someone by passing this episode along. Don't forget to subscribe and follow the show, leave me a review, and most importantly, practice what you have heard. To connect with me, do well to visit my website at www.themoneymechanic.com. Don't forget to grab your stock ebook today so that you can start investing in the stock market immediately. Visit the link in the show notes for details. Wealthy people are action takers. So will you take action on your finances today? See you in the next episode, family. Stay jiggy. As always, I'm sending you lots of love, light, and a sprinkle of money in between.